The World Cup is coming to New Jersey this summer. About 5 minutes ago, the lottery for tickets just opened. For the first time, FIFA is using dynamic pricing, meaning prices will rise and fall with fan demand. New York City Democratic mayoral nominee Zohran Mamdani has demanded FIFA drop dynamic pricing. He also wants them to cap resale prices and reserve a certain amount of tickets for locals, which has been historically the norm at the World Cup, but is not happening at this one. Zohran Mamdani, thank you for joining us this morning. Can you tell me more about this proposal? Where do you want to cap resale prices? Like where is the height of prices there?
First of all, thanks so much for having me on. It's a real pleasure. Today, as you were saying, today is the day when should be one of the most exciting moments in that we could have people starting to buy their tickets to be a part of the greatest tournament in the world. And yet what we're seeing is, as you said, dynamic pricing is going to be a fact of this, as according to FIFA. Resale prices, that they will have no cap in their own official resale market, and no set-asides for local residents. Now, on resale prices, I think what's most frustrating is that there are three host nations for the World Cup. There's the United States, Canada, and Mexico. In Mexico, FIFA has an agreement with the Mexican government to have a resale market that only will sell those tickets at face value as a maximum. And yet here in New York City in the United States, as well as in Canada, it will be a resale market where effectively FIFA is becoming the scalper.
Yeah, other than Mexico, is there a model you want to copy about resale laws, whether as a city or a country that has successfully, tamped down on ticket reselling?
I honestly think that just looking at how Mexico has approached this is the model for this World Cup. And I think what this is seeking to channel is the frustration of so many New Yorkers, but Americans coast to coast who've just been priced out of events that they've been looking forward to. Whether we're talking about the World Cup or just concerts, so much of what has been the centerpiece of sports entertainment is now becoming something that you just have to have an incredible amount of money and to be able to attend.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that more broadly. You were at the U.S. Open a few weeks ago. You were at the free day. We saw Donald Trump at the final last weekend or on Sunday. Is this something you're hoping to replicate in sports more broadly?
Yeah, I think sports should be something that people can enjoy regardless of how much money they have in their pocket. And one of my favorite memories growing up in New York City was going to the qualifiers with a bunch of my friends and just watching incredible tennis for free. And yet for so many, the prospect of even just being a spectator, it's completely out of reach. And we know that FIFA, they are supposed to be stewards of the world's game. And yet for them, it has increasingly just become a question of profit. And what the proposals they've put forward, they would increase their revenue from what they made in Qatar to now by close to 400%. And the last time the United States hosted the World Cup, the tickets for the final in today's dollars could be bought for less than $200. Now they are going to sell tickets for more than $6,000. I mean, who can actually go and watch these games? It's not going to be so many people that love this game so much.
Since you made this proposal last night, or I guess I should call it a demand, have you heard from FIFA or Eric Adams or Phil Murphy, who they signed the host city agreements with FIFA?
I haven't heard from Eric Adams, but he's quite busy with a number of other things.
Yep.
I did reach out to make these demands clear and start that conversation with FIFA, with the host committee. This is something that I'm very sincere about, because it can be the difference in whether or not New Yorkers can actually participate in the World Cup, or whether we will just be bystanders to what should be one of the greatest moments in our city's history.
You're not mayor yet, but if you're elected in November, is this something you might want to pursue as a law on the city or state level in terms of capping resale prices?
We absolutely need to explore every which way we can ensure that these kinds of events are within reach for ordinary New Yorkers. And I know that there's legislation that has been put forward at the state level that seeks to address some of these questions of secondary markets. But I also think there's a responsibility that FIFA has itself in how it sets its own prices. Oftentimes when we talk about dynamic pricing, it's algorithmic. In this case, FIFA will be manually changing the prices themselves. So you could enter into the waiting list to purchase a ticket, and by the time you actually get to the front of the line to be able to purchase, that ticket itself could have doubled, tripled, quadrupled in cost, and that would be FIFA making that decision.
I want to ask you one more question while we have time here, just about the World Cup broadly next summer. How are you thinking about that as your responsibilities if you're in government then, both the obvious questions about transit and getting fans from the city to MetLife, but also visas for a bunch of nations, for players and fans. How are you thinking about those issues?
I think it has been incredibly concerning to see the Trump administration's approach to transforming what should be the world's game and the world's city is now one where so many are afraid to visit us. We've seen a decline of about $4 billion in tourism revenue that we had otherwise expected for 2025. And we continue to make clear that this administration's immigration policies are an attack not only on our city's laws and our values, but also on our people. And this is a tournament where we want to really take this as an opportunity to make clear that the world is welcome here. And my responsibilities in leading the city will not only be in having that be our message, but also ensuring that the experience of being a fan is not just one that starts and ends when you're in the stadium.
Sure.
But it's one that you explore the city. I remember for a previous World Cup, the New York Times did a map of New York City where they recommended cafes and restaurants and bars of the nations that were competing. So if you wanted to go and watch Ghana, they said, go to this Ghanaian restaurant in the Bronx. You wanted to watch Chile, go to this Chilean cafe in Queens. And I went to a bunch of these with my friends, and it was such a reintroduction to the city that I knew and already loved. And that's what this tournament could be. And I've had the privilege of having gone to the World Cup in the past. I went to South Africa in 2010. And just the memories that I have from that time, I want to make sure that those are the memories that so many leave this tournament with.
All right, Zohran Mamdani, we will leave it there. Thank you for your time this morning. Thank you.
Thank you, my friend. It was a real pleasure.